Ben has participated in Taekwondo since January of this year. He is a very naturally reserved kid, but we've seen him really grow confidence and made new friends. Mr. Aponte and the other kids were very friendly. It's definitely a game changer for us.
He's a natural boy, so has a lot of energy. So we wanted something where he could be very physical, something with kids of his own age, which his class is full of pretty young kids, so it's perfect. He's already had some better attention, which when I say he's a boy, he is not great at attention, so already he's a little bit more focused.
We're just thankful for College Station. It's a very affordable option. We've looked at other recreational sports around the community, and this is definitely most affordable, most consistent.
Coming and training Taekwondo, this is a really exciting and it's good for you. This is not used for kids or used for adults. This is for all age, and this is coming to be a better person, get confidence in yourself. So just coming and training. You're gonna really enjoy it.
Good evening. I have 6 p.m. here on August the 20th, and I will go ahead and call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the City of College Station to order. If everyone will still please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a full dais this evening, so glad to see that and have everybody here. Appreciate everybody's time. Moving on to agenda item 2, hear visitors. At this time, we will open up the floor to visitors wishing to address the commission on items not already scheduled on tonight's agenda. We have been informed that no one has signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. 3.1, consideration, discussion, and action on our meeting minutes from August the 6th. Any discussion? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. We will move on to the regular agenda. Item 5.1, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding a waiver request to the Unified Development Ordinance, Section 8.3.E.6, dead-end streets, and public hearing, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding a final plat for Southland Edition Lot 23R, Block 1, being a replat of the Southland Edition Lots 23 and 24. Mr. Gabriel.
Good evening, Commissioners. Gabriel Schrum, Planning and Development Services. This evening's request is related to a final plat application we have received for an approximately 0.3 acre piece of property right along the terminus of Southland Street and Oni Hervey Drive. The property is zoned general suburban, and the applicant is proposing to add a small remainder of a tract to the existing lots for the intent of developing a single-family home. The land within close proximity to this property include detached single-family homes to the west, multifamily to the south with some floodplain area, a church development to the north, and duplex residential lots neighboring the property to the east. This is a waiver to UDO Section 8.3.E6 relating to dead-end streets being prohibited. In this case, it will be specifically for Southland Street and an associated temporary turnaround, as they are required for stubs of more than 100 feet in length. You can see here on the slide a visual representation of an option for the required turnaround in relation to the replat and the terminus of the road. The applicant has provided that they are requesting this waiver due to the existing site conditions, such as being in close proximity to a creek with associated floodplain and drainage easements, which require an extensive amount of work to complete the turnaround. These pieces produce issues with developing the property overall, and in turn providing a City of College Station compliant turnaround. The applicant has provided that they will have an approximately 28-foot by 40-foot road extension along Southland Street instead of the turnaround. Fire and other public services will be maintained as the dead end will be less than 150 feet, and sanitation will continue to use Oni Hervey for pickup. The public temporary turnaround is also a large burden to incur on the applicant with the scale of the proposed replat and the overall project. In accordance with the subdivision regulations, when considering a waiver, the Planning and Zoning Commission should make the following findings to approve them: that there are special circumstances or conditions affecting the land, that it's necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property right, that it will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of other properties in the area, and not having the effect of preventing the orderly subdivision of the other land in the area. Staff has found that all these criteria have been met. The large area of floodplain and drainage easements located on site is a unique special condition of the land. The large burden of costs and construction tasks that the applicant will incur for the turnaround with the scale of the overall project limits their enjoyment of a substantial property right. The waiver will not be detrimental to the public, as the applicant's proposed road extension provides a point of access to the applicant's property, while fire access and protection will remain adequate, and the limited acreage of this lot will not generate enough traffic to create circulation or access issues. The public access will remain with the road section being proposed instead of the turnaround, which allows the orderly subdivision of other land within this area. Based on these criteria, staff is recommending approval of this waiver request to the dead-end streets and temporary turnaround with the associated plat. To conclude my presentation, I have not received any phone calls or emails about this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm not sure if the applicant is available.
Well, we'll start down here to my far left.
I don't have any.
Just a quick question. Is there any consideration when you change the structure that close to the floodplain? Is there any change in the drainage system because of this action?
Are you talking, I guess, trickle-down effect?
Yeah.
I can let Jillian speak to that a bit more, or Anthony in this case, but.
Jillian Rowland, Planning and Development Services. So we did get a drainage letter from them, and it's stating that they would have up to 55% impervious cover, but based on their lot size, they were about 28%. But we do look at to make sure that it's not going to affect any drainage issues down the line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
No question.
Don, am I right?
Yeah, so I've stayed on that street basically on and off for my whole life. And I mean, I was aware because I looked at the gym, but I didn't get any information from the city that this is going to happen and to come to this meeting. My question is, so historically that bottom of the street is flooded so much. Those two houses at the end were once Habitat houses, I believe, and they had to get sold because the people who stayed there were not comfortable with the amount of flooding that came inside of their driveways. So since that area floods so much, and we're going to literally put like a house over the creek that's right there, how much is that area going to stop from flooding with that addition?
Yeah, that's a great point. We've done extensive coordination with the applicant on behalf of that. To your point, as you can see here on that hatch section on the right exhibit, that's all dedicated drainage easement. So the developable portion of this property is that right side. So whenever we take a look at that, we get engineered drawings. We even asked for some additional pieces with this application itself. That's kind of what's kicked it down the line so long. But we are definitely comfortable with the idea and what has been provided at this point.
So what's going to happen to the creek?
So the creek is going to maintain the idea in mind with the drainage easement being here is that it won't it won't be affected by the improvements that are being proposed.
Can you go back to the picture that was like over top?
Like the aerial?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the bridge is right there. This little lot is on top of the creek right now. So I don't see how you're going to build this lot and the creek is literally in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I can let some of the engineers speak to that a bit more.
Yeah, just real quick, so you can kind of see on the lot, right? So the creek runs top left, the green area is the lot in question. Top left kind of curves around and comes back almost to the bottom, direct bottom of where, that's the channel. And so certainly the larger area floods. Ultimately, this development that's proposed that we've been working with, they're not developing on the whole property because they can't. So they've got to come in, they had to determine where the floodplain boundary is. They also have to build the property up, so it's got to be 2 feet above what the flood elevation is. They've got a very limited amount of area they can even build. And so that's a lot of why we're here tonight, because it's already, they could just plat through the process and be good. but they would need to build a turnaround. So what, as Gabriel mentioned, in order to do that, it would be such a large area. It would be in the floodplain, which we don't want either. We don't want that additional impervious cover in the floodplain or in the creek. And so this is to help them be able to develop their property as they wish, but they have gone through extensive work to make sure that they have minimal impact, if none, on the actual flooding area. And so with what we've had them do, it's really just going to be hugged up against kind of those multifamily things over to the side where this potential structure could go.
Got you. So what will happen to the bridge? Will the bridge be deleted?
The purpose of this waiver is that nothing changes with the road.
Okay.
That they're just going to build the structure. They'll have a little bit of pavement down to get to them, but that bridge will be maintained in its current configuration.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's something the applicant provided as well. They didn't want to mess with the pedestrian.
Okay, and so I also attend that church right there, and I know our church has a partnership with the city as well. Will that mess with the land because I don't know, okay, it won't mess with anything with the land of the church either. Okay, have y'all spoke with the church about this or anything? Because I don't know if our church is.
Yeah, so just a reminder, so this is a plating item. This isn't, it's not a zoning request. It's already zoned to be able to build. And so when these types of items come, there isn't a public hearing. There isn't that process. It's really it's a determination by staff. It doesn't meet the criteria of the ordinance. In this case, there was a waiver required, so that comes from the commission. And ultimately, your job is to find the criteria that Gabriel mentioned. Does it meet that? It doesn't involve a high public process in reaching out to our surrounding, because it's not really changing the use of the property or kind of how that would interact. It's a very specific, localized issue on that property itself, typically.
Got you. Thank you.
So there's not currently a turnaround at either of those locations, correct? So at the terminus of Southland or Oni Harvey, there's not currently one.
Correct.
So any limitation of the access is not going to be exacerbated by this. There's already not a terminus there, and this doesn't need to go in front of the fire chief or Public Works to make sure that they can still have access to it, or have they already signed off on it?
So yes, exactly to your point. They both had reviews within this, coordinated with them just to make sure that, I mean, to your point, that the servicing wasn't going to be an issue and some of those emergency standards as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? As mentioned, this is not scheduled for a public hearing, so I will move to the will of the commission.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any other? Go ahead. Any other questions? Mr. Watson, are you comfortable with your questions? Yeah. Okay. All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6-1. Thank you very much.
I can speak on it after, right? So if this does pass, I just hope that the code enforcement pays very close attention to how many trash cans we already don't have being taken care of. So when we add more people on our street, I would definitely like code enforcement to come visit our street a lot more than they currently do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trum. Moving on, item 6.1, discussion of new development applications submitted to the city. Any questions there? 6.2, presentation discussion of the future calendar. Council will be here on the 27th next week. We do not have a meeting on the 3rd. Then council will be here September 10th, and then we will be back here on September the 17th. Currently, there's nothing on the agenda, correct? Yeah. So we don't have anything on the agenda scheduled for our September 3rd meeting based on tracking. 6.3, Design Review Board and the Buyer Corridor has not met. Anybody have any future agenda items that they would like to add? Seeing none and seeing nothing else on the agenda, we are adjourned. Thank you.